What's going on, people of the world? It's Reap the Harvest live on a Monday, coming at you about an hour early. Matt is zipping out of town again. Why? Because the man is creating cash flow in his business. What do you got going today,
Great cash
Mr. Matt Tack?
I gotta head back to some assets. We're just making some changes, I'm gonna be heading out of town. But I would definitely want to get something in, provide a little value. Momentum Monday, man. I wake up with a burst. I actually got some feedback from a guy late last week. He's like, dude. He's like, I listened to your podcast and I started implementing when I wake up in the morning. I say, dude, today's going to be a great day. And when I lay my head down, I evaluate my day. And I was like, dude, today's a great day. And I was like, he's like, ever since I started doing that, he's like, dude, every time I lay my head down at night, he'd be like, today was a pretty damn good day. So man, it's really about, really, really putting that positive impact in your life, kind of making it happen with action. But today I just, over the past couple of weeks, I'm a big like KPI guy, right? So I look at P&Ls of the business lines that we currently have. We were just looking at P&Ls are just a big thing to look at. So if anyone doesn't know what a P&L, that's something we'll, again, deep dive into Reap the Harvest community. Things like that of kind of like understanding that, right? You don't need to necessarily know the debits and credits, the balances, the intrinsics of the books. But you do need to know, like, what are your expenditures at? What do they look like, right? And then when something's off and it's triggered, like you got to deep dive into it a little bit more. So we saw that one of our properties, there was an uptick in payroll, and I'm like, what's going on here? And we found out that a son was hired on, and then a daughter was hired on. So we nipped that in the butt right away. But that you have to identify, right? You have to kind of know where your metrics are at. So P&Ls are huge, and P&Ls are just kind of like you measure. It's the measurables, right? Of what's our gross revenues. That's going to be at the top. What are our gross revenues? And this isn't any stream of business that you look at. You have to know your P&Ls. And specifically in like a real estate transaction, how we try to generate NOI across the board. And there's how we're facilitating new ways to generate NOI. It could be, implementing a cable package, doing a RUBS, doing, putting washer and dryers in there and charging for the washer and dryer transactions. That's one of them. You can rent out space in like the common area grounds, right, for parties or whatever it might be. There's a number of different ways that you can physically generate NOI, and that'll be part of your gross, right? And then you have to take a look at your expenses, get an idea of what are your fixed costs, what are your soft costs, getting a general idea of where your expenses are coming in at, and then kind of have an idea, right, month over month of like where that's headed. And then ultimately your NOI, right? Your NOI is going to be your basis before debt service of like how healthy things are. So you got to have that strategic focus. You have to understand the finances on a P&L, and that's what's going to determine a lot of your it's going to determine a lot of the health of what you have on your day to day. Right. And you just want to make sure that, as things trigger and I see payroll going up, well, why did I see payroll go up last month? You know what I mean? Why am I seeing $500 or $600 go out the door? Is that something we need? And we didn't need that. And so I had to nip that in the butt. So it's just identifying things, know your business in and out. The other thing is too, that I really learned, this past week, because I'm actually going through the E-Myth again. I've read it, but I felt like I need a really deep dive. So I'm revisiting the E-Myth, revisited this book, and I highly encourage people to go out there and read that book if you're an entrepreneur and you're in business.
A lot of coaches recommend that book too.
Yeah, it's a solid book. So talking about like kind of the strategic initiative or strategic focus, and John Gordon. So if you guys don't listen to John Gordon's big in this too. But like people don't buy things because it's necessarily a product or just a product, right? They almost buy a feeling, right? So when they come into your store, you're in this case it was all about pies. It was we're talking about people buying a pie, but if they're buying shoes or whatever it might be, I'm a big Nike guy. I like Nike shoes. I like wearing Nikes. Now those like Just Do It, right? It's like Just Do It creates that action, right? They're getting into your head like Just Do It, and they put out a really good product. I mean, you have to back it up with the product, but the thing about that is like you're buying into a culture, right? You're buying into an influence, a feeling. How does that make you feel, right? And so I really strongly encourage people, and I'm not going to take too much time today because I do got to jump on a plane in a little while, but I want to encourage people today really kind of focus on their business is not necessarily by the numbers game. And that's why I started off with the P&L aspect, because you do need to know your numbers, right? You need to know the health of your organization and where it's headed. But it's not always in the numbers, right? The numbers do, in a sense, speak to how healthy an organization is going to be. But if you truly have a strategic focus that's bigger than the number, success will follow. And so, that's what I've always seen is that we gear everything we do towards relationships, right? Long-term relationships. So we want to be extremely transparent in everything we do. We want to be authentic. Don't get me wrong. We could tune things up. We are definitely not the best in just like really getting things like absolutely done in an extremely timely order. And I want to get that up. I want to synchronize. I want to get better. Right. But at the end of the day, one thing we do is we value relationships. It's always a relationship driven business. And then we try to set expectations within those. Right. And we're always trying to improve and get better and systematize things. But the main thing is that the focus should not be necessarily on the numbers game, right? How much is it in this for me, right? It's really how much is it in for somebody else, and then success will follow, right? Just the act of caring. John Gordon is like, he pretty much says, if you care and you care about people enough, success will follow you, right? And that's ultimately in the business and the bottom line. Are you creating and generating enough like growth in other people that ultimately it's you feel validated at the end of the day about the level of input that you're putting into somebody else or that product that creates that feeling or that culture. So as you build out things, I come to terms with the fact that people are not buying, or people do not want to do business with you really unless they like you and they believe in the culture and the feeling that they actually get and derive out of that. And so I say that to say all this, right? The Reap the Harvest community is going to be built on that foundation, is going to be built on number one, getting a lot of value of understanding the X and the O's and what needs to happen between the lines, right? But ultimately it becomes when
Matt updated his computer. That was giving him some trouble earlier, but he should come back. You there, Matty? Oh, he was on his phone. Oh, I lost him. He might have to come back in. So it's just me now. So the community will be up soon. I've been building a funnel for it. He might hop back in here. So I've been building a funnel for it. Matt's just got a couple things that he needs to fill out on that. And that'll be available soon. So it's Matt's thing. I just run the production for it. So it's really exciting. I'm happy to be a part of it. It's really helped me grow being a part of Matt's business and helping him get his message out online. And so we will have a link for everybody soon. It's one of those mornings where he's traveling, but putting the effort in to put something out for you guys. So we will have a link soon. We are going to build a little private community where people can have questions answered and talk business and bring deals to the table. There he is. He's back.
He's back.
And I was just telling people that, I will be producing like the streams and stuff, but you're really going to be diving deep on a lot of this real estate stuff and a lot on the business stuff and a lot on the how you run your household and all those things. And I mean, I've come a long way since we started doing these streams too. So I can tell you guys firsthand, I mean, my results in my life have gotten better from being a part of the show. So I can tell you from experience that if you're on these calls every week, like I've been over the last few months, 6 months or so, we've been doing these, just putting them out there. So I'm telling you that there is game-changing information in this stuff because it's helped me personally. So
yeah, man. And I think ultimately what it comes down to is that, it's beginning kind of with that end in mind, of as far as I'm big on the kind of the eulogy aspect of really, hey, what's the impact? What's the change? And so what's going to be that driving factor, right? And who's going to be the influencer? And it's not really going to be coming down to how I can compare myself to other people, because I'll get in that trap, right? We always try to, hey, the Joneses have this, that, and the other. Really what it comes down to is just being very present with yourself, right? Being present in your situation, but not that letting that dictate, or being what you consider stagnant, or, paralysis from analysis. Being present, but staying motivated for what's ahead, right? And I think that's really what it comes down to, is really breaking that down, really kind of understanding the core principles of business, and what business is, right? How do I look at the P&Ls? What are the driving factors? What things do I need to measure as far as key performance indicators? How do I make quality decisions based off of those key performance indicators? And then ultimately, how do I create the level of influence that I need to create after I make those decisions, or while I'm making those decisions? So, those are some of the things just knocking on, as far as of really kind of understanding things. You do need to have your KPIs, you need to have your metrics kind of in place. But then what is that core? What product are you pushing forward?
Right. You got to have you in place too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's huge, right? That's all. That's a big thing. You got to have you. I mean, I work twice as much on myself, and that might sound cynical, but that's a Jim Rohn kind of saying. Jim Rohn was big on that, right? Work 2 times as much on yourself as you do anybody else. So you got to be working on yourself first, and then you can kind of put things into practice, right? So as me, I got to find a level of gratitude and presence in my life. So that's where I'm at, right? I'm working on myself, funneling things constantly, daily, reading, trying to grow in many ways. Right now I hopped on the bandwagon of doing the 75 hard. Man, it's piss hard. I'm getting, getting in that fundamental base of reading, still working on my Spanish, doing those things, but knocking them out in a finite period of time. That is still allows me to do the business piece. So I need to then hop into the business leg, but then also be present with my family. So it's really just, being able to really identify and realize that, hey, I'm not superhuman. I'm going to get stressed out. I'm going to do these things, but then how can I still maintain activity but be present, right? With kind of where I'm at, and that's ultimately where I'm at, right? I'm not 10, 15 years down the road as I'm looking at some of my counterparts who have who are absolutely smashing it, killing it right now. I'm doing pretty well. I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm present, but I'm never going to let that be enough, right? I always want to stay motivated, constantly be pushing that growth mentality, being a thought leader. So as we kind of build out this community, that it would educate, number one, educate, and it's going to be mind, body, spirit, right? Focusing on those three things. And then what are those 3 things, right? As you're focusing on the mind, what are you building? What are you putting in place, right? And a lot of that for the mind, most importantly, but the mind is going to just be learning and evolving, whether it be in business or in the spiritual, whatever it might be. It's learning new things. And I'm constantly trying to learn from other people. I'm actually going through this weird study right now. It's crazy. It's called hermeneutics, which it just allows me to identify and understand my spiritual belief in a much deeper level. So I'm going through things where I'm constantly trying to evolve, constantly trying to grow. And that's ultimately what it comes down to, right? Is creating a community around you that wants to evolve with you. And if you want to evolve, Reap the Harvest community is going to be for you. We're going to level up with each other, but that's ultimately, it's really diving deep into those things, running against your KPIs. You can have your KPIs in life. We have our KPIs for our family, right? We have our measurables of how we're moving on a day-to-day basis. And we don't make it complex, because complex just creates lack of clarity, right? We just try to make it stupid easy. Hey, these are the things we run by. These are basically our core values. And if it fits within our core values, then hey man, we're in a good road, and we're making some quality decisions. If it doesn't fit within our core values, then it's probably not the best decision for us. So super good stuff, man. Honestly, I've just, even this past week, it's just been a lot of growing. A lot of big things have happened. A lot of new relationships have come about, and super excited about this community and get this thing rolling.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'll be finished. I was telling them when your phone or whatever came in and out is that I'll have a link for everybody soon. We're finishing up a couple things. I finally got Matt to send me the info to plug into it. So I will have a guru style funnel for Matt to share soon with everybody on his personal page and on this page, so that you guys can go check it out and become a part of the group. It's really exciting. And we have taken our time with it on purpose a little bit too, because we really wanted to dial in exactly how we wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is just the perfect time, especially with people being online so much right now, and with self-education becoming, what it is, which is just taking over. It's just having an affordable place to go where you can level up your network and level up your career and level up your personal life is so important. I can't tell you guys how many times, and Matt said this earlier, and times I made songs or skits or raps or whatever for influencers, and they got a hold of it and loved it and like hired me to do something. Like, I might not have gotten paid for singing songs about Grant Cardone, but him putting me on stage at 10X completely changed the trajectory of my business. Mm-hmm. I might not have gotten like paid for songs or skits I made for Gary Vaynerchuk, but when he uploaded those on his channel and it got 600,000 views, well, I can tell you, I got a lot of business and created huge networking relationships from those opportunities. So sometimes you got to put in the dimes or put in the time to build that top line, Yeah. There's a new rap for you. I got to turn that into something, but it's true. You got to put in your time and you got to spend a couple dimes to get into those situations that can increase your revenue and increase your value in your relationship or your marriage or your fitness level or whatever it is you're going for. It's going to take an investment. It's either going to be time and energy, or dollars. And me, as someone who didn't have any dollars for a long time, I had to bully my way into those situations and kind of use blood, sweat, and tears and blunt force to get in the doors, kick the doors down, but it worked because I was willing to put the time in and build the relationship. So really excited to help people kind of streamline that process, because you could save years and years and years and years, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, because I know you've invested a lot in yourself too, Matt.
Yeah. I mean, I am big on masterminds. The one thing about masterminds is that, in creating, what I love about creating communities, and I think this is kind of where things are going to be evolving, right? Masterminds are great, but typically masterminds meet a little bit more infrequently. So there's going to be a fallout, right?
Right.
Or specifically for something like this, where we're creating community, there's accountability along the way, right? There's measurables. And those were the key performance indicators come in, right? As you're leveling up, there's going to be performance indicators that you're moving along with. So
that phone.
That's all.
You're back.
That's ultimately, kind of where things are going to be headed, right? As far as kind of creating that roadmap of kind of beginning to end. Now, I do want to let people know it's going to be heavily focused on real estate. Yeah, the activities are going to be real estate. It's going to be like-minded people within real estate. You don't have to be within real estate, but there's going to be a lot of key features kind of located within real estate. We're going to bring other people in that are not going to be necessarily associated, or their specific area of expertise is not going to be real estate. But it's going to be one of those things where where we're just going to level up together. We're going to bring in different minds, but it is going to have kind of a strategic focus and linear focus with real estate in mind. So but across the board, we're going to mind, body, spirit, those three things, and it's going to be really cool. So, and
Super
that's
fun.
the release date on that's going to be about September 1st. We're trekking towards that, maybe a little bit earlier, but we're targeting everything out for really September 1st. We're going to be pumped. We're excited about it. We're excited to create a really robust community.
It's
going to
dope.
hook up with each other. So cool, man. I'm out. I
Rock
gotta
and
go.
roll. Get on that plane. Get those deals going. Thank you,
All right,
everybody.
brother.
We appreciate you. Hope you
Appreciate
all
it.
have a great week, and we'll see everybody soon.
All right. We'll see you guys. Peace.